This week on Camera Talk, we're talking radioactive. That's right, radioactive lenses. Are they as evil as they're rumored to be?
They are the focus of evil in the modern world.
Actually, this rear element's probably a little closer to my eye than it should be. But that's what we're going to look at this week, is radioactive lenses and why they're radioactive, why they were used in the first place, and what are the consequences of using them, if any. So, stick with me and we'll find out together.
Here I am, Vietnam. Rain is always coming down.
This is Camera Talk with Dr. Scott. All right, this week on Camera Talk, we're looking at radioactive. Not Imagine Dragons radioactive. But the actual radioactive, the scary one. You know, and there's all kinds of videos out there on YouTube that are kind of clickbait. You know, they go through the horrors of, oh my God, radioactive lenses, as if they're gonna melt your face away or something like this. Radioactivity is obviously a bad thing, but you know, really we're surrounded by radioactive things anyway, just walking around out in the sunshine, building materials in your home, granite, if you got a granite countertop, radioactive. You eat bananas, radioactive. Do you have smoke detectors in your house? Radioactive. Do you smoke cigarettes? Radioactive. Do you sleep next to somebody? Radioactive. That's right, there's radioactivity everywhere. So, you know, a little bit of here, a little bit of there. And of course the air travel and the doctor x-rays and all these kinds of things. You know, collectively over time, they could be harmful to you if you're doing them a lot. But it's the same with our radioactive lenses for photography. You know, sure, if you're exposed to them and you put them right up to your eyeball, you know, it may be doing some damage to, you know, to your tissue and whatnot. But for the most part, that's not how we take pictures, right? You know, really the safest way to handle, you know, radioactive lenses is having them attached in front of your camera. Because if they're in front of your camera, you have this big bulky piece of equipment here with metal and plastic and glass and everything else in it. So for the radioactivity, you know, for the alpha waves to get through to, you know, the backside glass anyway, to get through to your face is pretty limited. Even just wearing eyeglasses, you know, there's some tests on YouTube you can find, you know, if you search around for it, you know, where they'll do a Geiger counter reading directly to the lens, and then they'll put a pair of just ordinary reading glasses or something on top, and then take that same Geiger counter reading again, and you know, the radioactivity coming through the glasses is a fraction of what it is without. So there's plenty of ways to protect yourself from that radiation. But still, if you get the Geiger counter readouts from them, even then, the levels of radiation aren't that, you know, drastic. Now, I own a number of them. You know, I just brought out a few samples and I'm going to bring them all out. But, you know, my little Industar 61, which is a 52 millimeter 2.8, it's radioactive. It's got the rear element, and that's the thing with where the radioactivity is in a majority of lenses is in the rear element. I have a Konica 50 millimeter 1.4 radioactive. I have a Minolta 58 millimeter 1.4 radioactive. I have an Olympus 50 millimeter 1.4 radioactive. Takamars, I've got a few of them. 50 millimeter, 55 millimeter, my 35 millimeter, all radioactive. That's right, all of them. Takamars love radioactive elements. And then lastly is my my Ricoh, Riconon 55 1.4. You got it, radioactive. Now there's you know, dozens more out there. You know, the big brother to my my Canon FD 55 millimeter 1.2, the aspherical version, radioactive. That's right. So why would camera manufacturers produce lenses that are radioactive anyway? They want to mess with your health? No, I don't think so. It all comes down to, you know, the goal of most lens manufacturers was to produce the sharpest, best performing lens that they could, right? That's how you sell your camera equipment.
And that word is sell. I want you to get out there and sell, sell, sell.
So, way back in 1945, toward the end of World War II, Eastman Kodak patented a lens with radioactive elements in it.
Kodak film for the times of your life.
And, you know, what were these radioactive elements, you know, supposed to do in the first place? Well, they're designed to have high refractive index and low dispersion. Some fancy phrases. So what does that mean? Well, what it basically means is with the radioactive elements in the lens, it actually slows down the light coming through the lens. And when you slow it down, you can actually control or reduce the amount of chromatic aberration going on as a result of, you know, the light coming through the glass. So that's, you know, where it all started in the first place. And there's two, you know, more common radioactive elements out there. Thorium oxide is the first, and then lanthanum is the second. Now the thorium is the one that freaks people out because it's the stronger, you know, stronger radioactive element than lanthanum, which is relatively weak. So the thorium, which is actually the most abundant radioactive element in the Earth's crust anyway, it's everywhere. You know, they used it because it is so abundant, but because of its properties used in photographic lenses or optical lenses. You know, it was great for the high high refraction index and low dispersion, you know, characteristics. So that's why thorium was the favored one over all the other elements. So what does that mean to you and I? You know, again, you know, sure, thorium is radioactive. Sure, that it's not healthy for you to, you know, be hanging around it. You know, if you're looking at, you know, safety purposes for, you know, again, this is my Asahi Pentax super multi-coated Takamar. Yes, it's radioactive. The rear element here is radioactive. But as long as you're not spending long periods of time with it up against your eyeball, or you don't make a necklace out of it like some bling bling, or you don't sleep with it under your pillow or anything else, it's not going to have really any effect on you. You know, the way it actually becomes dangerous is if you break it. You know, if you smash the lens or crush it, grind up the glass into powder, and then you either inhale it or ingest it into your body. Outside, you know, again, through, you know, your epidermis, your outer skin, you know, is pretty good at protecting you from this radiation. But it's once it's inside your body that it starts to play havoc on the well-being of your innards. So Don't break your lenses. Don't crush them. Don't snort them like you're doing a line of Coke. You know, don't eat them and sprinkle them on your eggs in the morning, and you'll be fine. You know, if you're worried about the safety of being too close to these things, about 1 meter, you know, for those back in America, it's about this long. You know, if you keep the lens about 1 meter, 1.5 meters away from you, the radiation levels aren't even detectable. That's how small they are. So don't worry about it so much. Now, how do you know, you know, if your lens is radioactive or not?
Ancient Chinese secret.
Generally speaking, especially because it's vintage lenses. I mean, like I said, they started using these in 1945. They stopped producing thorium-doped lenses in 1980. You know, due to concerns for the production workers making these things and whatnot. They're the ones who may be ingesting, you know, fine dust and things when they're grinding the lenses. So yes, very unhealthy for the production workers. They're still used today, though. I mean, the military still produces optics with radioactive elements in them because, again, of what we just talked about with the characteristics on what they could do with the glass. You know, put them in spy satellites and so forth and so on. Or in drone photography.
Are we clear?
But I was going to say, one of the ways of kind of discovering your vintage lenses, if they're radioactive or not, is by the color. And you know, it's basically if you hold them up against a white background. You know, you may notice a yellowing or a brownish tint to the glass itself. And again, it's the rear element. And you know, to a lot of people, they're like, oh my God, that kind of ruined the lens with that color. Some people like it. Some people think it adds some character, makes your photographs look vintage with that yellowy tint. But all of mine, and I mentioned them to you already what they are, except my Industar, I did not do it to. But basically, this is a IKEA little desk lamp, and you can, I forget the model of it, but you can look it up online. But really, anything with an LED. Everybody talks about UV lamps now. Unless that little LED is a UV LED, I have to question that, because I've used that along with, when I was busy doing that one, I also have an LED flashlight, you know. I use this as well, just as a demonstration. Sits right on top, and again, it's, you know, flashes through the bottom, but you know, sit that on top. You know, it's a rechargeable one, so I can just plug it in. I don't need to change batteries or anything, and just let it shine through for about a week, and voila. You know, the brown or yellow color clears itself up. So, you know, all this talk about must be UV, I don't know. You know, I've read lots about it, and yes, UV light cures it, I guess, quicker. But, you know, the other method is people leave it out in the sunshine. But the problem with that, too, unless you're in very northern or very southern climates, when the sun is not so strong. But, you know, I live in Vietnam. The sun is quite strong here. If I leave this lens outside, even for 20 minutes, that thing is going to heat up to some pretty ridiculous temperatures, whereas it's pretty toasty even just to pick it up. So what does that result in? That results in all the grease and everything for the lubrication inside starts to evaporate and sweat. Ew! And it starts to migrate around the camera. Last thing I want is you know, grease on my lens, on the inside of the glass. and whatnot. So that's out for me. So using again, using these lamps and everything, you know, what's the cost of an LED lamp? You know, the electricity on that, it's basically nothing. But it clears up the yellowy tint. And I'll show you some pictures of my Takamar that I took with, you know, using that method. And I'll show you those right here. So it basically cleared up my Takamar, but it cleared up all of them. You know, like I said, I haven't done it to my Industar, and I haven't really taken a good serious look at this. Yeah, there's a little yellowish in there. It's not much, which is probably why I haven't done it to this one. You know, of course, you probably can't see that through there, but well, maybe I'll take a close-up and show you. All right, so that was the Industar. As I said, the rest of these all cleared up without an issue. So again, don't let it discourage you. Now, one thing you have to remember if you're buying, you know, radioactive lenses on YouTube or on eBay or anywhere else, you know, that's selling these vintage lenses. Be careful where you're posting them through the mail or UPS or FedEx or whatnot, because sometimes they'll, you know, because they are radioactive, it may set off some alarms here and there as the package ventures through the system. So it may get flagged as radioactive and returned right back to the seller. So be careful with that. I haven't had a problem with them. Like I said, all the ones that I've purchased have been through eBay, and I got them through the mail without any issue. So it just depends where you are in the world and what kind of system they have set up to detect such things. So I think that was pretty much all I wanted to say about that. Well, again, remember the you know, the thorium and whatnot is actually in the glass itself. It's not like it can scratch off into anything. Now, there has been stuff I've read online where I guess there have been manufacturers in the past who have attempted using coatings, radioactive coating on the lens. But even still, it wouldn't even be the outer layer, though. It would be the inner layer with other layers of coating on top of it, which again would shield you from more direct exposure. But the actual baking thorium into the glass itself, that's real. I mean, that's how most of the manufacturers produce their radioactive lenses. So again, that was pretty much all I wanted to say. I just wanted to, you know, kind of add that in there, clear the air about radioactive lenses. Sure, they're scary.
Evening, Miss Fields.
But they're not so scary. You know, take it for what it is. There's plenty of ways to protect yourself from them. You know, if anything, you know, they're not that scary. I mean, the thorium, you know, how slowly radioactivity changes, you know, from element to element. You know, the half-life of thorium is 14 billion years until it finally turns into lead, you know. So, you know, it's slow decay. So again, it's radioactive, but not that radioactive. So anyway, don't be afraid of radioactive lenses as long as you're, you know, careful with them not to break them or whatnot, and you don't stick them on your eyeball or sleep with them or carry them in your pocket everywhere you go because you adore your Takamar so much. It's not a problem. So anyway, so that was Camera Talk with Dr. Scott. And the last thing I want to talk about is a little plug for Luminar and Luminar AI. If you need any photo editing software. That's, you know, it's just as good as Lightroom. Actually, it's used with Lightroom as a plugin, but as a standalone, it's great too. So, what is that? I hear my neighbors are chopping meat or something like that. Anyway, distractions. So, it's cheap. It's yours for life. It's got lots of bells and whistles. It's got a free trial. Download it. See if it works for you. Works for me for everything. You know, that's for school. But you know, every other you know, photo that I have to edit for anything, I use Luminar, and Luminar AI is, because it's newer, I tend to use that one more. But anyway, it's, you know, it's under $100, and it's yours for life. Like I said, you download it, put it on whatever computer you want. You never have to upgrade if you don't want to. You just leave it, and that's good the way it is. But if you want to save some money too, I got a $10 discount, link below. A little kickback for Dr. Scott. Yahoo!
$1 million.
And yeah, so buy one. Come on, you know, don't buy it for me, of course, but buy a copy for yourself. And while we're speaking about Dr. Scott, how about you support my channel? I need all the support I could get. Yeah, so subscribe. That's right. I said subscribe. And you know the usual, I always do a third time, because third time's a charm. So subscribe. And you know the algorithms here at YouTube love that thumbs up, so give me a thumbs up. Why not? Doesn't hurt anything, right? So it gives me a chance for the thumbs up girls. Everybody loves the thumbs up girls, yeah. So, last but not least, you know, watch out for the COVID, huh? Stay safe out there.
They suck. They just suck.
I'm still waiting for my second shot. I only got one a couple weeks ago, so I have to wait another few weeks before I'm ready for the next one. But stay safe out there. Watch out for that Delta version, and I hear the Lambda one is on its way too, and that's what happens with viruses. When you let them linger too long, they'll mutate into something stronger and nastier. They fight dirty.
Shit, okay. Oh my God.
That's right, they do. So anyway, stay safe out there, and come on back next week, because remember, you belong here at Modesty Photography, where we're here to save you money, give you little insights on things. Just talk photography, lots of vintage lenses and things like this. So come on back next week and we'll talk some more. All right. Have a great week and a great weekend, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Here I am, Vietnam.